welcome. You're watching The Nation at 5. I'm Anusha Sonia. Top focus this hour continues to be the war between Israel and Hamas, which has claimed hundreds of lives and more than 5,000 people have been injured just on the Israeli side. The counter-offensive by the Israeli forces in the Gaza Strip and West Bank has only escalated. Benjamin Netanyahu has said that this is only going to increase in the days to come, and it has just started. Israel reiterated its policy that this war is not something that they started, but they're definitely going to end it. As far as the Western superpowers like US are concerned, they have clearly stated their unequivocal and unwavering support to Israel and said they're going to support Israel in this war, in this act of terror. As of now, with the reports emerging in, our ground reporters telling us that most of the cities have been sanitized in terms of there is no hostage situation that has emerged in any part of the country right now, in Israel right now. There were images that you must have seen on social media here on CNN News 18 that we've been pointing out through the day, where you can see that death and destruction even in Gaza Strip is unprecedented. The scale of this violence is something that no one could have predicted, and even in the days to come, the kind of regional angle it takes, or countries like in Syria and Lebanon have expressed concern that this could only escalate in the days to come. And the way, form and manner how this is going to happen is something we have to wait and watch out for. Of course, there are countries like Iran which have said that they support Hamas in the action that they have taken, but they have no role in this attack that has happened so far. Let's take you through some data. Let's take you through some statistics that have emerged at this point in time, especially the death toll, the casualties that have been reported, the number of people who have been injured, and what exactly is the situation right now. Let's go through those numbers one by one as we talk about that story. On the Israeli side, what are the casualties which have been reported? In Israel, about 2,800 people have been injured. And as far as the death toll is concerned, the death toll has also crossed 1,000. That's the number we're looking at. It's only likely to increase. It is the 9/11 moment for Israel, as the world is calling it to be. The number of Palestinians killed in Gaza is about 900. So even the human cost for Gaza has been very high. These are not targeted killings so far. These are not targeted attacks, but the civilian casualty in this conflict between the two sides, in this war between the two sides, has been unprecedented. Palestinians injured in Gaza, about 4,000 of them. And as has been pointed out by the leader of Israel, that it's only going to increase. Hostages taken by Hamas over 50, but as the ground reports indicated that most of those situations have been taken care of. Hamas terrorists killed over 400. These were dead bodies which were recovered of these terrorists. And of course, the reservist forces which have been sent in by Israel is an unprecedented number who have been mobilized on the ground. The rockets are fired from Gaza, about 4,500. The visuals that we showed you throughout the day told you the tale of death and destruction which is looming over West Bank in Gaza. And of course, Israel also saw the civilian casualties, that it saw the surprise attack that was conducted. Hamas targets struck over 2,290, and these were targets and buildings, also something which had civilians. So yes, it's a densely populated area. We don't know what exactly the scale of tragedy is going to be in the days to come. Let me also try and cut across to my colleague Abhishek, who will join us live and get more details on this entire story. Abhishek, if you can hear me. All right, before that, let's just cut across to some more reactions coming in on this story.
In southern Lebanon, Hezbollah has already fired anti-tank missiles and rockets at our positions and soldiers, fortunately without any significant casualties. And there has already been an attempt of Islamic Jihad terrorists to infiltrate into Israel. That attempt was successfully thwarted by the IDF, sadly, at the cost of the life of a senior officer and 2 additional soldiers. But the attempt was stopped, and as of now, there are no attacks and no active combat events on the northern border. However, we remain very vigilant. We have deployed tens of thousands of additional units.
To our fellow Indian citizens in Israel, this is to assure you that the embassy is working constantly for your safety and welfare. All of us are going through very difficult times, but please do remain calm and vigilant and follow the local security guidelines. We are here to help you, and we thank many of you who sent so many messages of appreciation to us. We are monitoring the situation closely, and please stay tuned for any updates by the embassy. Jai Hind.
Well, let's tell you a bit more about the conflict zones, the key cities that have been affected. But of course, Gaza Strip and West Bank remain the two regions, the two regions which are the most densely populated ones. There's blockade by Israel, which has been a point of concern. Let's talk about the West Bank first. This is the area that you're looking at. About 2,263 square miles, about 3.3 million population. This is the Gaza Strip, 147 square miles, a very densely populated area, one of the most densely populated areas in the world, and a population of about 2 million. There are multiple checkpoints along the Gaza Strip, and most of them are controlled by Israel, barring one. And in this region right now, most of the essential supplies like food, water and medicines have been affected because of the ongoing conflict. And rightly so, the neighboring countries have also expressed their concern that this could perhaps blow into a full-blown regional conflict, something that none of the nations would want, because it's going to affect the peace, stability and economy of most of the nations in West Asia and Central Asia. I want to cut across to Abhishek, who's now joining us live from Tel Aviv, getting us more details on the story. Abhishek, first the situation on the ground from you. What are the authorities saying? What is it that you're picking up?
Since in the last 24 hours or so, there has not been any siren that has gone off. Yes, there is a concern. And
Abhishek, allow us a moment. We'll just fix your audio. There's an audio issue there. Abhishek is reporting from Ground Zero. We'll just cut across to him and get a sense about what is the advice coming in from the authorities right now. What is the Israeli government saying? How exactly the civilian population has been asked to remain cautious, and what are the steps which are likely to be in the days to come, and of course what the update is from Gaza Strip and West Bank, and what kind of troops have been mobilized other than what we have already reported. Those are the details emerging. But the largest story here is, as the Western nations have once again vowed to stand in support of Israel, is this something that can go into a full-blown conflict? The traditional sympathy that was always reserved for the Palestinian cause in this case, because Hamas, attacked the civilian location, is something that at least as of now has been a casualty. There's a breaking beat of news which is coming in. Let's cut across to those breaking developments which we are getting for you right now. That UK Foreign Minister James Cleverly will arrive in Israel to support the country. He will also meet Prime Minister Netanyahu, Foreign Minister Eli Cohen and President Herzog. Now, those are the details coming in. Yet another major superpower, United Kingdom, standing strong in support of Israel. And you have the UK Foreign Minister James Cleverly, who will arrive in Israel. He'll go there in person to express solidarity. As far as India is concerned, even India has clearly stated its support to Israel in this time of conflict. Abhishek, I believe, is back with us on the broadcast. Abhishek, I hope you can hear me now. What exactly is the situation right now? Where are you right now?
well, I'm in Tel Aviv right now, and to describe the situation and what has been going on for the last 3-4 days, I'm joined by one of the Indians who has been living in Tel Aviv, and Santosh is his name. So, Santosh, if you could describe how have you been in the last 2 days?
Hello everybody. Namaste. We here in Tel Aviv. I want to describe it situation is quite tense here from the last few days due to the ongoing situations that you all know. But from yesterday onwards, here in Tel Aviv, the siren was on, and we were totally panicked, and the rocket was in the sky. All these things going on here. But the normalizations we are expecting, maybe or may not be. It's not confirmed.
तो यहाँ जो इतने सारे इंडियंस हैं, वो कितने सारे इंडियंस हैं और कैसे वो यहाँ पर रह रहे हैं? क्या आपने उनसे कभी बात की है? क्या उनका सेंस है?
यहाँ पे इंडियन सारे अपने अपने जगह पे जहाँ पे भी है एक फैसिलिटीज दिया होता है हर जगह। हर 1 किलोमीटर के अंदर 2-3 बंकर थे यहाँ पे, तो सेफेस्ट बंकर आपको ढूंढना पड़ेगा, और अगर इनकेस अलर्ट करना पड़ेगा, अगर सीरेन ऑन होता है तो वी हैव टू गो एंड rush and hide in the bunkers. That's the only thing that has been told to us here by the concerned authorities. अभी क्या है, कल सीरेन हुआ तो everybody was rushed to the bunker. They have to go to the bunker anyway.
तो और अभी जो इंडियंस हैं उनको कोई ऐसा सेंस ऑफ पैनिक हुआ है कि अब यहाँ पर बहुत खतरा है, तो अब यहाँ से जाना चाहिए अपने देश लौटना चाहिए?
अभी साउथ में जितने भी रह रहे हैं पीपल्स हु आर लिविंग इन साउथ, दे हैव अ वेरी टेंस सिचुएशन, क्योंकि मैक्सिमम इंडियन स्कैटर्ड है यहाँ पे ऑल थ्रू द रीजन। डिफरेंट प्रोफेशंस में है, कोई केयरगिवर्स में है मैक्सिमम, और कोई कंस्ट्रक्शन में है, कोई टीचिंग में है, तो डिफरेंट प्रोफेशन, कोई सॉफ्टवेयर में है, तो डिफरेंट प्रोफेशन में है। तो अपने अपने जगह में मैक्सिमम अगर आप देखेंगे तो साउथ रीजन में क्या है कि जो एग्रीकल्चर रिलेटेड प्रोफेशंस में है, जैसे कि एग्रीकल्चर से स्टूडेंट्स वगैरह आए हुए हैं, या फिर कोई इंडस्ट्रीज या माइनिंग साइट में कोई आए हैं, तो साउथर्न रीजन में मैक्सिमम ऐसे आदमी मिले।
सदर्न रीजन से इंडियंस वहां रहते थे, आपके पास कोई ऐसी जानकारी है कि वहां पर कोई इंडियन फंसता हो, किसी को चोट आई हो?
अभी तक एज ऑफ नाउ तो ऐसा कोई नहीं है, कोई ऐसा आया नहीं है। 2-3 केयर गिवर का रेड अलर्ट ऐसा कुछ आया था, तो लेकिन वो कंफर्म नहीं है। लेकिन मुझे लगता है जितना भी वहाँ साउथर्न रीजन में भी है, वो तो निकल चुके हैं साउथर्न रीजन से, अभी मैक्सिमम तलबी पे आके बैठे हुए हैं या फिर कहीं और सिक्योर जगह पे आए हुए हैं। जैसे कि यहाँ के लोकल आदमी भी जितने भी साउथर्न में रहते थे, वो लोग बाहर निकल चुके हैं। जैसे कि तलबीब एरिया हो गया, सेंट्रल रीजन में आके रह रहे, तो उस साइड में तो पूरा ऑपरेशन चल रहा है, तो वहां पे रहने का भी इतना कोई नहीं है। इंडियन, आई थिंक देयर इज नो इंडियन लेफ्ट ओवर देयर इन साउथर्न रीजन। इफ पीपल आर देयर आल्सो, दे आर इन अ वेरी सेफ, व्हाटएवर अकॉर्डिंग टू मी।
So something that was totally off the guard and people got just attacked. After that, there has been security protocols that has been issued by the Israeli authorities that includes foreign nationals like Indians who have been living in southern part also, because agriculture is is one of the major business activity in that region, and many of the people who were attacked were kind of involved in community work there also, and they were in a pretty celebratory mode when unassumingly they were attacked by these militants. After that, situation has been pretty much under control of Israeli forces, but it's very much still very tense, and people are very alert that whenever the siren will go off, they'll have to rush and hide themselves in a very secure and protected zone.
All right, that was my colleague Abhishek reporting from Ground Zero, getting us a sense of what exactly is the sense. He was also in conversation with the Indian diaspora there and, of course, the national there living speaking. I want to cut across once again to Abhishek and get more sense about what exactly is the situation. Abhishek, in the morning, we were talking to our other colleagues who are reporting from Ground Zero, and they pointed out that as far as the hostage situation is concerned, all the terrorists of Hamas have been flushed out, and most cities have said that at least that situation does not exist at this point in time. What is the caution that the civilians have been asked to exercise at this point in time?
So there is just one caution. Whenever there is a siren, you should go out and hide in the safest place that is available. And surprisingly, for a person who is living in India or Delhi, they will not realize, but after every few meters, every dozen meters, there will be a bunker or a safe zone that will protect people from pounding rockets. That is coming from Gaza or maybe sometimes other locations also. Ashkelon and Ashdod, two cities which are like about 40 to 50 kilometers from Gaza, they have been mostly aggressively attacked by the militants or Hamas forces from Gaza side. And Tel Aviv is relatively far; it is about 100 kilometers by road, so aerially maybe even less. That has been less into the under attack from Gaza side, but still in the last 24 hours it has been only calm. But before that, the 3 consecutive nights there have been rockets that have been falling on the Ben Gur airport, also in parts of civilian residential regions of Tel Aviv as well. People are, little panic is of course there. Traffic is slow, traffic is calm, but the security situation is very alert, and the forces have almost taken control of entire crisis situation right now in Israel.
Stay safe as you report on that story. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. There's a piece of breaking news which is coming in right now. Let's cut across to those developments. The Ministry of External Affairs has set up a special control room to monitor the situation and provide information and assistance. These are the details that Arindam Bakshi from the Ministry of External Affairs has tweeted out, and he has said that in the view of the ongoing developments in Israel and Palestine, a 24-hour control room has been set up at the Ministry of External Affairs to monitor the situation and to provide information assistance. 24-hour emergency helplines have been set up. The numbers are on your screen right now. These are the numbers that the Ministry of External Affairs has put out, and if there are students, if there's some information that you want to get, if your loved one is in Israel or you know somebody who's there, any kind of assistance is something that can be sought from these helplines that have been set up by the Ministry of External Affairs. That's the bit of news which is coming in at this point in time. The Indian government and their policy has been very clear. Prime Minister on 2 occasions has tweeted and said that India continues in its support to support Israel in this time of crisis. It's a very clear foreign policy position that India has taken. On repeated occasions, India and Indian authorities, including the Prime Minister, have expressed solidarity and support to the Israeli counterparts. And of course, this has been cited as a shift in the foreign policy by certain political parties here in India, which of course has come under criticism as well. Those are the broad developments which we are getting. Let's also listen in to some more voices coming in.
हमें लगता है all the time हम खतरे में, but we believe our army. We trust our army that they are strong and we are safe here. It's our home and we can go anywhere. It's our home and we want to stay here in peace with everybody, with all the Muslim. We want to stay here.
We are very thankful to Modi that he is supporting us, Israel, and he is doing a lot of things for us, for Israel, and for our community in India.
Well, you heard from my colleague Abhishek. Palki Sharma is also reporting from the ground, getting us a sense about what's happening in the war-torn nation. Let's cut across to these reports.
All of yesterday, we heard a lot of sirens. Everywhere we went, there were military choppers buzzing overhead. So there is tension. The place where I am in Tel Aviv is usually chock-a-block at this time. There is a beach. It is always full of people. I have been here before on multiple occasions, and I can tell you that this city looks deserted, even though you see the odd vehicle going here and there. But there is a lot of tension. People are not taking chances with security. There have been multiple red alerts yesterday, and the death toll, unfortunately, keeps going up. The latest count is that Israel has seen more than 1,200 dead, 1,200. In Gaza, the number has crossed 900, and we know that there are still many hundreds of people who are still injured. So the death toll can only be expected to rise. That is the situation as of now. In terms of fighting, it has now spread to 3 fronts. We know that Israel is bombing targets in Gaza and bombing them in very large numbers in waves of airstrikes every few hours. So that is very much on as they prepare for a ground offensive. I'll come to that later on what is the plan for the ground offensive. But Gaza is one area where they're attacking Hamas targets. The other 2 fronts are the border with Lebanon in the north. The tensions with Hezbollah have been on the rise. Israel says there have been provocations. The other side says there have been provocations. Either way, there are missile attacks that are being exchanged. And then there is Syria. And Israel is said to be striking Iranian targets in Syria, Hezbollah targets in Syria from the Golan Heights. So this is clearly spreading. As of now, it is aerial strikes. I think all parts of Israel are now completely under the control of the Israeli military. All terrorists or people from the other side have been either neutralized or flushed out. Yesterday we saw reports of 1,500 bodies of Hamas terrorists being recovered in parts of Israel. So the Israeli military now says that the area is completely under their control, the area where the music festival happened, a couple of the kibbutzes where we saw a massacre. There are very, very gory details of what played out there and the kind of attacks that were carried out on women, on children, on babies. Some reports saying that babies were beheaded, but that is a conflicting report and it's causing a lot of controversy here. Having said that, the Israeli military says it is in control of the ground of the entire Israeli territory. But a lot of places around Gaza are now out of bounds for people. You cannot go. We tried to go south yesterday and we tried to go beyond Zerot, which was one of the villages one of the towns that came under a serious attack and saw a 20-hour-long gun battle. You're not allowed access. So, and part of the reason is that they are trying to sanitize the area. The other part is that they're preparing for a ground offensive and they are moving their military assets towards the border with Gaza to make a ground invasion.
Well, those are the ground reports, and we'll continue running these ground reports for you. Major General SP Sinha is joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on The Nation at 5. We're talking about this crisis unfolding in West Asia. The death toll is only mounting. Which way do you see this really going? The biggest fear is that this could turn into a wider regional conflict.
You see, what I see is that Israel is going to have a phase-wise approach to the entire issue. First of all, they have already done it. They have got the jihadis of Hamas out from their own territory. So they have secured their fence. Jihadis inside Israel have been thrown out. Now they have gained air superiority over Gaza. They are destroying buildings. They are destroying vital areas, vital points. They have destroyed the office of Hamas, where the operational details were being planned and coordinated. That is out. And, the missile system, artillery bombs are being used to destroy all these assets. Now what will happen after this process is completed? Then they will try to send troops on the ground. They will try to encircle important areas, and wherever there are tunnels, because these jihadis, what Hamas jihadis are doing, they fire a missile, get into the tunnel. So if you fire, nothing happens to them. Same thing happened to America. Why couldn't they defeat Vietnam? Because Vietnamese had dug in the tunnels and they used to hide themselves in tunnels. Unless you throw some incendiary bomb, throw fire, water, only then these jihadis will come out. But how do you know where the tunnel is hidden? So Israel will try to target these tunnels, cleanse Gaza of all jihadis of Hamas. Once that is done, then only they can agree to come to negotiating table. But what is the strategy of Hamas is that they have captured more than 100 Israelis. I'm told there are 7 Americans also. So therefore, they are going to use this because Hamas knows that for Israel, one Israeli citizen is very important. In the past, Israel had released about more than 1,000 jihadis of Hamas in lieu of one Iranian citizen. So they know the weak point of Israel.
Absolutely, sir. Major General Sinha, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking with us on the show tonight. I want to cut across to a breaking bit of developments which is coming in right now. This is a tweet by Benjamin Netanyahu, who has tweeted that Hamas is worse than ISIS. This picture, we have, of course, changed bit part of it because these are gory details which have been put on the social networking site. But this image has been put out by Benjamin Netanyahu to show the kind of terror that has been unleashed on Israeli civilians. This is not the first tweet in which Benjamin Netanyahu is talking about the brutality which has been unleashed by Hamas. But in a series of tweets, Benjamin Netanyahu has spoken about it. And earlier he also pointed out how US stands on the same page, saying that Hamas is worse than ISIS. Veena Sikri is also joining us on the broadcast, former diplomat. Thank you so much, Veena ji, for speaking with us. This is a tweet that we are putting out of Benjamin Netanyahu, and Israel continues to point out the kind of barbaric acts that were committed by these terrorists who were there on the Israeli soil. India has taken a very clear position and it has supported Israel in the kind of counter-terror measures that it has taken. How do you see the position that India has taken vis-a-vis how the foreign powers or the Western superpowers, how they are aligning?
India has always had a very categoric and unequivocal position on terrorism. We stand against terrorism, and there is no such thing as good terrorists or bad terrorists or root cause terrorists. There are no such things. So I think our Prime Minister's statement was absolutely correct and unequivocal in the saying that we oppose the terrible and brutal violence and terrorism that Hamas has unleashed on the people of Israel. I think this is a very, very important and unequivocal statement. I think it stands on its own. This is India's position consistently. India has always also supported the question of two states, of a Palestinian state and Israel, the two-state theory which is there, and we're willing to work towards a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine in that area. But there is no question that terrorism will not be tolerated. So terrorism, in order to try and get any goal, will not be tolerated. And I think we've taken a very correct position. And I am glad that the Western countries are supporting it. I believe there might be the possibility even of US Secretary of State Blinken visiting Israel in the next very, very short few hours. I think that, of course, because Israel's response to the terrorism committed against them has been very sharp and has risen very sharply in the last few hours. So naturally there is concern all over the world. But I would say once again that India's position has been correct. What our Prime Minister's statement has been very accurate. It reflects India's stand against terrorism, and it does not in any means rule out the question of a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine without any kind of terror at all in the future. That will be really bringing peace to this area on a long-term basis. For there can be no scope for terror at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. No good terror or bad terror. It's terror at the end of the day, which should be unequivocally condemned by all. That's the story. We'll continue to track here on The Nation at 5. For now, we're slipping into a very short break. Stay tuned. Stay with us.
Tel Aviv, and as you can see, sirens sounding.
जैसे ही ये सायरन बजा 30 सेकंड के अंदर हमें भागना होता है.
Massive barrage of rockets coming in here.
The sirens have gone off, people are taking cover, we got off the bus, people are taking cover.
What a hot.
Yeah.
Je passe maintenant le micro au président des flux. רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
يصدر من رعيم باتجاه قطاع غزة. ها هم جنودنا الذين أثخنوا في عدونا.
brought to you.
तो आपको दिल दहला देने वाला है। बहुत ही खौफनाक मंजर है। ये देख सकते किस तरह का तांडव मचाया गया था इस हाईवे पे जेरौत गाजा बॉर्डर पे। ये तस्वीरें देख सकते हैं। तमाम पेड़े जो हैं, जो जंगल का थोड़ा बहुत एरिया होता है, वो जल गया था। यहाँ बमबारी की गई थी। कार की स्थिति देखिए, इस कार की स्थिति देखिए। ये स्थिति क्या है वो आपको यहाँ से पता चल रहा होगा। केवल लोहा बचा हुआ है इस कार में। और ये महज यहाँ से 1 किलोमीटर की दूरी पे गाजा है। गाजा यहाँ से 1 किलोमीटर की दूरी पे है। इधर आपको और कुछ दिखा दे। ये देख सकते हैं पार्टी नोवा, एक फेस्टिवल होता है यहूदियों का। उस फेस्टिवल के दौरान यहाँ से लोग गुजर रहे थे। रेम का जिक्र आ रहा है बार बार दुनिया के नक्शे पे। ये देख सकते हैं, ये खाने पीने का सामान है। यहाँ आपको पिज्ज़ा यहाँ आपको दिखेगा। ये देख सकते हैं। ये इन तस्वीरों से आप समझ सकते हैं कि क्या तांडव मचाया था। आपको दिखाते हैं, एक बहुत खास तस्वीर आपको दिखा रहे हैं। यहाँ बुलेट के लगता है, यहाँ सैकड़ों बुलेट, एक ये देखें। और आपको दिखा रहे हैं बड़ी संख्या में यहाँ सड़क पे बुलेट है। तो ये देखिए कुछ सामान आपको दिखेगा जो लोग यहाँ पार्टी मनाने आए थे, गुजर रहे थे। और आपको दिखाते हैं सड़कों पे बुलेट। यहाँ देखिए, ये देखिए करम 3 4 5 5 6 7 8 और यहाँ
जी
9
जी
10 गाड़ियों के शीशे टूटे हुए बिखरे पड़े हैं। ये देखिए यहाँ, ये देखिए 10 के बाद गिनती यहाँ लगातार आपको 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 लगातार इस तरह से सड़क पे बुलेट बिखरा पड़ा है। और ये तस्वीर आपको जो दिखाई मैंने, किस तरह से कारों को जलाया गया है। बार बार इजराइल की तरफ से जो कहा जा रहा है कि ये नरसंहार किया गया और इसीलिए इजराइल ने युद्ध की घोषणा की है। यहाँ कारों को देखिए, कुछ नहीं बचा है। डेड बॉडी भी यहाँ कुछ लोगों के पड़े हुए थे 2 दिन पहले तक। ये देखिए कारों को ये जला दिया गया है। किस तरह का मंजर रहा होगा 7 अक्टूबर की सुबह 6:30 बजे। ये देख सकते हैं, ये तस्वीर है गाजा बॉर्डर जेरौत की। पहली बार हम यहाँ पहुँचे हैं, बहुत कम मीडिया के लोग यहाँ पहुँचे हैं। और उधर देखिए, यहाँ से 1 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर गाजा है और 1 से 8 किलोमीटर तक की दूरी है अगर इस हाईवे से आप आगे बढ़ेंगे। जहाँ आपको धुआं दिख रहा है वो इजराइल बार बार मिसाइल से हमला कर रहा है और उसकी तस्वीरें आपको दिख रही हैं। और इसीलिए इजराइल बार बार ये कह रहा है कि गाजा बॉर्डर को सिक्योर कर लिया गया है, लेकिन एयर को अब तक, यानी आसमानी आफत अभी भी हमास की तरफ से है। एश्केलॉन की बात करें, दूसरे दक्षिणी शहरों की बात करें, जेरौत की बात करें, हमारे सामने एक मिसाइल गिरा था। तो इस तरह की तस्वीरें आपको गाजा पट्टी और इजराइल के बॉर्डर से देखने को मिल रही हैं।
जी नीरज, आप ये सारी तस्वीरें हम तक लेकर आ रहे हैं कि बॉर्डर के काफ़ी पास किस तरह की परिस्थितियां हैं। जो बुलेट्स आपने दिखाई या जो चीज़ें वहाँ पड़ी हुई हैं या जो खाना वहाँ पर पड़ा हुआ है, साफ साफ दिखता है कि किस तरह से वहाँ पर एक फुल ब्लोन अटैक हुआ था, सिविलियंस को टारगेट किया गया। पूरी इजराइल की यही कहानी है। उसके बाद इजराइल ने भी काउंटर स्ट्राइक्स लॉन्च किए और आपने बताया कि गाजा में आपको दूर से ही लगभग 10 किलोमीटर दूर आपको दिख सकता है कि धुआं उठ रहा है, मिसाइल्स चल रही हैं। अलग अलग शहरों में इजराइल में क्या परिस्थिति है और गाजा पट्टी में खासकर जो घायलों की संख्या है वो काफ़ी ऊपर गई है। लगभग 800 से 1000 लोगों की मरने की भी खबर आई है। अगर इजराइल के जवाब की बात करें तो किस तरह का जवाब दिया है इजराइल ने?
देखिए, गाजा का नक्शा बदल गया है, गाजा शहर का नक्शा बदल गया है, गाजा पट्टी का नक्शा बदल गया है, क्योंकि ये इजराइल ने युद्ध की घोषणा की है। कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है, इन्फिल्ट्रेशन नहीं है कि कभी कभी छिटपुट तौर पे कार्रवाई होती है। ये देखिए, ये धुआं जो बार बार दिख रहा है, आज ये टारगेट पे है। इजराइल इधर है और यहाँ से इजराइल की सेना बार बार वहाँ हमला करी है। धुएं का जो इलाका दिख रहा है वहाँ आज टारगेट पे है पूरा गाजा पट्टी। गाजा शहर इधर है तो इसीलिए निशाने पर है। और जब जब हमास के लड़ाकों के पिन पॉइंट करते हैं वो आपको वहाँ फिर मिसाइल से हमला दागा जाता है, मिसाइल से हमला किया जाता है, रॉकेट से हमला किया जाता है। तो ये यहाँ लगातार रॉकेट आपको बीच बीच में इजराइल से आता हुआ गाजा पट्टी की तरफ दिखेगा। ये जो रेलवे लाइन है, रेलवे लाइन के दूसरी तरफ गाजा है, यहाँ से दूरी 1 किलोमीटर है जेरोत से। ये दिखाइए करम, यहाँ से जेरोत की दूरी 1 किलोमीटर है। ये पूरे इलाके को, लैंड बॉर्डर को सिक्योर भले किया है, लेकिन अभी भी आसमानी आफत, मैं बार बार कह रहा हूँ, हमास की तरफ से, गाजा पट्टी की तरफ से वो झेलना पड़ रहा है एश्केलॉन को, जेरोत को, दूसरे शहरों को। लेकिन ये सारे शहर आज की तारीख में वीरान पड़े हैं, वीरानगी है, यहाँ सन्नाटा साया हुआ है। ये देखिए, और अभी एक गाड़ी आ रही है, आप उसका म्यूजिक सुनिएगा। उस दिन जिस दिन त्योहार था, फेस्टिवल था, माहौल कुछ इसी तरह का था, इसी तरह का माहौल था। लेकिन माहौल में को किस तरह से मंजर में तब्दील हो गया वो आपको तस्वीरें यहाँ की बयां कर रही है। ये लगातार यहाँ आर्मी के लोग, आर्मी देख सकते हैं, ये पुलिस के लोग हैं और आर्मी के लोग हैं। इधर पुलिस के लोग हैं, आर्मी के लोग हैं, इधर पुलिस के लोग हैं, आर्मी के लोग हैं, और इसी तरह से लगातार सिक्योर किया हुआ है बॉर्डर को।
जी जी, मेरा अंतिम प्रश्न आपसे, नीरज, आप हमें ये सारी तस्वीरें ला रहे हैं, आप हमें बता रहे हैं वहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है। अगर आप हमें बता सकें कि अभी अभी खबर आई थी कि यूके के एक मंत्री हैं, वो भी इजराइल आने वाले हैं, उस देश के साथ अपनी पूरा समर्थन और एक कहीं ना कहीं एक मजबूती से अपना हाथ दिखाने के लिए कि इजराइल के साथ चाहे यूएस हो या यूके हो, वो पूरी मजबूती से खड़ा है। इजराइल ने भी ये कसम खाई है कि जिस तरह का हमला उन पर हुआ है वो इसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब देंगे। और आने वाले कुछ दिनों में अगर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय विशेषज्ञों की माने तो ये जो हिंसा का दौर हमने देखा है ये कम नहीं होने वाला। वेस्ट बैंक और गाजा पर और भी हमले होंगे और भी टारगेटेड अटैक्स जो हैं वो इजराइल कहीं ना कहीं करेगा। नीरज, आपको अगर अभी भी मेरी आवाज आ रही है, आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं? ऑलराइट, we'll try and connect with Neeraj, and those are the images he's getting us from Israel. This is one of the border areas.
भय है, लेकिन म्यूजिक के साथ यहाँ यहूदी परिवार के कुछ युवा पहुँचे हैं और ये डांस कर रहे हैं। और हमारे साथ कुछ लोग हैं, उनसे बात करते हैं। ये क्या हो रहा है? Situation is very tense. Just Israeli military and Israeli police have secured the land border. What people are doing here?
First of all, hello to all our Indian
I am from
friends.
India. Yeah.
Yes, we love India, and thank you to all of our Indian friends. These are Hasidim. These are religious Jews that believe in Rabbi Nachman. They believe in happiness. That they believe everything that happens, we should be happy, and the happiness can overcome everything. So while everyone is talking about,
okay, what happened?
Down the camera.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Don't shoot. Okay? Thank you.
All right, that's a ground report. That happens in every conflict situation. There are places where you're allowed to shoot with the camera. There are places where you're not allowed to. Our effort is to get you a sense from the ground and get you all the ground reports. Let's also get you some international reports from CNN. CNN's Ben Wedman explains the complex tunnel system that was created by Hamas throughout the region, and it was used by them to launch this attack and to carry out abductions. Have a look at this report.
The tunnel system is extensive, and it's obviously for the exclusive use of Hamas, and most Gazans actually don't know where the tunnels are located. Oftentimes, after Israeli incursions, for instance, several years ago, I was in Gaza after one of these flare-ups between Gaza and Israel. You could tell from cracks in the middle of the road where there was probably a tunnel underneath. Now, where would these captives be held? Probably in areas which are densely populated, like refugee camps, and areas where there are lots of civilians, sort of to provide cover and deter the Israelis from really just going in with a large force. So the tunnels, the density of the population are going to pose huge challenges, in addition to the fact that, keep in mind that according to the CIA, 40% of the population of Gaza is under the age of 15.
Well, politics aside, it's a human tragedy which is unfolding like it happens in any war. As the deadly war between Israel and Hamas continues to go on, 13-year-old Isra and her school in the war-torn Gaza City has now turned into a shelter home. Have a look at the special report that we get for you.
As bombs continue to fall in Gaza City, inside this courtyard, a possible refuge for some. 13-year-old Isra al-Kishawi is leading a Reuters camera crew around a school. Operated by the United Nations, that's become a shelter for several families. Some children are playing, others are looking up and pointing at Israeli aircraft in the sky. The airstrikes are the worst in the 75-year history of conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. Al-Kishawi is saying she can't sleep at night. She goes to the bathroom every few minutes because she's afraid of the rockets. She says, 30 people sleep here. There's no space for us all. The UN Secretary General says 137,000 people are sheltering inside UN facilities like the school, but their safety is not guaranteed. The UN said on Tuesday that Israel's air operations have hit schools and UN buildings across Gaza with civilian casualties. Al-Kishawi tells us there's no running water in the bathroom and that she's developed a rash because she hasn't been able to bathe in days. She says, I wish I could be a normal child living with no war, no rockets, so we can safely return home.
Well, our exhaustive and non-stop coverage on the Israel-Hamas crisis and this war unfolding in West Asia will continue here on CNN News 18. For now, we're slipping into a very short break. Stay tuned. Stay with us.
Tel Aviv, and as you can see, sirens sounding.
जैसे ही ये सायरन बजा 30 सेकंड के अंदर हमें भागना होता है.
Massive barrage of rockets coming in here.
The sirens have gone off. People are taking cover. We got off the bus. People are taking cover.
Brought to you by Saturday's attack by Hamas marked the worst breach in Israel's defenses in decades. According to a Reuters source, Hamas deployed a force of about 1,000 fighters, organized into specialized units. They've been training in Gaza since the last conflict in 2021, sometimes in plain sight, the source said. Here's how they managed to catch Israel off guard. This footage released by the armed wing of Hamas is said to show fighters training ahead of the operation. They're using paragliders, and a source says their exercises included building a mock Israeli settlement to practice a military landing. Reuters could not verify the date and locations of the videos, but the training would have come amid a careful campaign of deception by Hamas, which had convinced Israel that it did not want to fight. It refrained from military operations against Israel and was careful about leaks. Even many Hamas leaders weren't aware of the plans, according to the Reuters source. A spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Forces admits they were surprised. Hamas separated its fighters into several specialized groups to carry out the attack in the air and on the ground. It fired thousands of rockets at around 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. The bombardment was intended to cause shock and confusion, while providing Hamas fighters with cover to break the fortified fence.
Welcome back, and we get you some more exclusive stories. Shahid Latif, India's one of the most wanted terrorists, somebody who was involved in the deadly Pathankot terror attack. He's been gunned down, and now the details which are emerging is that we have spoken to Hassan Iqbal, who's the DPO of Sialkot, on Shahid Latifi's murder. It is reported that he was murdered due to personal enmity, and those are the details. This was an enmity over a land dispute, but this yet again proves that Pakistan is a safe haven for terrorists. Joining us on the broadcast is our managing editor Anand Narasimhan. Before that, we are quickly going to play out that photo.
ये इन्होंने जो है ये शाहिद लतीफ़ी का जो है मर्डर हो गया है, तो ये कैसे हुआ सर?
ये पर्सनल एनिमिटी में हुआ है और उसको मजीद कर रहे हैं, उसको डिग आउट कर रहे हैं, और जैसे ही कोई अपडेट होता है तो आपसे शेयर करेंगे।
नहीं, लेकिन सर ये इनके खिलाफ कुछ मुकदमे यहाँ पर भी थे ना आपके पाकिस्तान में?
नहीं, हमारे पास तो किसी किस्म के मुकदमे नहीं थे यहाँ पे।
अच्छा।
He was a common citizen, और इनकी अपनी कोई लैंड डिस्प्यूट्स चल रहे थे अपनी फैमिली में, और उनको थ्रेट्स भी थे जिस वजह से वो हुए, और कुछ इनके रिश्तेदार पकड़े गए हैं जो लगता है कि यही निकलेंगे।
अच्छा,
ठीक है, ट्रेसेस मिले हैं कि वही अटैक किया है।
मतलब उनके आपके हिसाब से कि इनकी पर्सनल फैमिली में ही इनका मर्डर किया लैंड डिस्प्यूट की वजह से?
जी नहीं, इनके पर्सनल ये डिस्प्यूट्स चल रहे थे, लैंड डिस्प्यूट्स चल रहे थे अपनी फैमिली में।
अच्छा,
तो लाइकली है कि उन्हीं की तरफ से हुआ है कोई।
So Hassan Iqbal, the DPO, they're saying that it was a personal enmity, a land dispute. But the larger question, Anand, Pakistan a safe haven for terrorists, yet again it's proven.
Well, he actually tells CNN News 18 that he has no charges against him. He's a free citizen. Somebody who's wanted under the UAPA for the 2016 Pathankot. The police officer there actually turns around and says, you can put anybody's name in the dossier and say, and this person is a free citizen of our country.
Yeah.
So that also shows that there is open protection for such elements who are open Jaish-e-Mohammed cadre. He was a real estate guy who had some family dispute. Now this has been confirmed by a local cop in Punjab, in Pakistan, Punjab. This is before the Pak ISI can turn around and say that Indian intelligence officials are out operating on Pakistani soil, taking out citizens.
Yeah.
But the reality is that this man, Bilal, came to India and into Jammu and Kashmir in the 90s. He was part of the Harkatul Mujahideen at that time. Came close to Masood Azhar, was in a Jammu jail till 2010. Then he's actually repatriated. And much against a lot of opposition that came in from the NIA, the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir government decides to send him back. He comes back onto Indian soil, and then he is the mastermind of the 2016 Pathankot attacks, where about the combing operations went on for about 17 hours on the 2nd of January, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And thereafter he's a wanted man. So dossier after dossier has been given about this guy. He's 41 years old.
Yeah.
His alias is Bilal.
Yeah.
And Shahid Latif now shot dead by his own locals.
Yeah.
Now who are also believed to be local terrorists or local elements. And that's what's been confirmed by a cop to our group editor security, Manoj Gupta.
And one final question. Shahid Latifian, you pointed out one dossier after another that has been presented by India. And whether it was 2611 or Pathankot, India has put substantial evidence on record. Just few pointers about the kind of dossiers we have put on, at the public stage for the world at large to see the evidence which exists against it.
Well, these are all nefarious elements who have infiltrated into India. India is foreign territory for these Pakistani nationals. What have they been doing here? They have masterminded terror attacks on our soil. From 1993, when the Jammu and Kashmir, the entire exodus of Kashmiri Hindus and Pandits happened, and orchestrating the kind of mayhem that has been orchestrated at that time on our soil, he has been involved for nearly more than 2.5 to 3 decades. As a youngster, he has come into India, and he is dead at the age of 41. Yeah. Imagine from 1993 to 2023, nearly 30 years he's been active, and he's only 41 years of age. So imagine at what age he has taken to terrorism, and at what cause and what causes he has actually championed. These are dossiers which have been not only submitted to Pakistan, but these names are known to them. Yeah. And the more the names that India takes, more these people actually tend to get state protection. If a local law enforcement officer there is saying that this is an honorable free citizen of Pakistan, he may have been wanted a terrorist, you can see the thought process that emanates from these elements. Sure. And what they think about such terrorists or such elements. What is he doing on foreign soil is one question. Secondly, Pathankot, orchestrating, masterminding the death of our soldiers. 5 of those terrorists were killed at that time. We lost more than 7 of our soldiers. And we cannot forget that it happened at a time when you had India wanting to walk the talk as far as peace is concerned. Yeah. And this is what? So every time we have talked peace, they have walked terror. And he was one of those wanted terrorists, accounted by his own family members and near and dear ones locally. Sure. For a property deal. Sure.
Terror as a state policy for Pakistan. That's what Anand is also pointing out. With that, we've completely run out of time on here at The Nation at 5. We'll continue tracking this and much more right now. Time for Plain Speak with Shivani Gupta.
Tel Aviv, and as you can see, sirens sounding.
जैसे ही ये सायरन बजा 30 सेकंड के अंदर हमें भागना होता है.
Massive barrage of rockets coming in here.
The sirens have gone off, people are taking cover, we got off the bus, people are taking cover.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The Israel-Hamas war has brought back memories of the Yom Kippur War, a war which started about 50 years ago and reset equations in the Middle East forever. This war was fought between Israel on one side and Egypt and Syria on the other. Israel was caught by surprise then too and took time to mobilize its own soldiers, many of whom were on leave for Yom Kippur. There are eerie similarities between what happened 50 years ago and what happened now.